本当？見えないでしょ？どこにいるのかな？見えないよ。
What's good, Internet? Welcome to Waypoint Radio. Rob.
Oh,
Okay.
Wasn't ready?
No.
I'm always ready.
I was ready.
Damn.
I'm
ready to hit the
born
ground
ready,
running.
Actually,
Natalie always got her head on a swivel.
that's why I have this battle station so that I'm just
Right, the L-shaped desk. So you're always turning
the
back and
L-shaped
forth.
desk.
That's-
I'm
it's-
always
it's-
in the zone.
So that when you turn, it's just that monitor is only for podcasting. So that when you hear the noise, when the signal goes off, like the bat
Yeah.
signal, you hear "What's good, Internet," and then you know to shuttle to your left, to your right. I guess it's to your right. Correct.
Yes, this general zone is podcasting zone. Yeah, to my right.
Can I, Cado, is the most recent advertiser, has their thing started? The one, not the one that you want me to record, but the one I recorded before. Because
Maybe?
What is
Oh
that?
my god. I think that ad is technically running, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
So-
it's
Why are you
Uh,
wielding?
bespoke. So behind the scenes for how podcast ads work, people are like, this will make sense for why everyone's laughing in a second. But so sometimes you just get sent like an ad read, and it's like, hey, just read this thing. You know, Naomi is on the premiering on the CW. Don't need to watch the episode. Just read the lines that they sent. Frequently, say like 50-50, like they want to like send you some of the product so you can say something about it that's personalized. And Bespoke had, I'll probably record a couple of these, but the first one was just like, hey, could you just read the lines? And then the new one was, hey, we're going to send you some product. And usually it's like, hey, like pick something out of the lineup, and then here's a promo code and we'll ship it to you. And so I picked one that was like this, the camping one, Cado.
Were you aware of Bespoke as a company?
It was not. I think I've heard it through a podcast ad. Like you've reached the heights of your career is when you're reading ads for companies whose
That
ads
you've heard
on
ads.
just
other
waiting
fellow.
for Quip to reach out. Are they
There
still
you go.
around?
I feel like you don't hear as much of the like toothbrush and Harry's, because I think they get big enough through the podcast reads, and they're like, now we're gonna go sell our shit at Target.
We're good.
We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
need these
Quip's at
podcasts.
Target now. I was there recently. I saw Quip there. I was surprised.
I've never read a podcast ad for Harry's, and I use it. I don't sub. I just like buy it and then cancel it because I don't shave enough to use it. Anyway, in the box, I requested for Bespoke, like, oh, the one that's like the camping one. It comes with like a cast iron frying pan and some Bloody Mary mix. I was
Wait,
like,
what
this
is
like
Bespoke? I don't know what this is.
They send you boxes of stuff. Like,
Oh, okay. It's like a subscription box.
Yeah.
Subscription box of
Yeah, well, I don't know.
camping, I guess?
Well,
It's a
This
loose
is
And-
the camping theme.
One of them, which is not what I requested, I'm gonna unbuckle this. Look at
That's
this
a knife.
shit.
Now that's a knife.
This is like a machete.
Jesus Christ.
That is
I
an oddly shaped machete. To be
the
honest,
photo that came with
It's kind
it
of like
was,
a kukri, but not really.
like a person like going on a hike. It's like, I gotta get through the woods. My wife was like, you could like cut down the branches with those in the backyard. I was like, if the neighbors saw me just like walking
that would
around
be
with a
epic. That would be
machete,
epic.
it just
I
go,
think you should do
"Hi-ya!"
that. You need to establish yourself as the machete wielder of the block.
you know what? I've been in this neighborhood for 6 years. Finally, time to establish myself as the apex predator of this block.
Oh my god.
When I walk my kid, this doesn't have a strap for my belt, but I'm sure they can sell me an accessory.
A news
big
story
knife.
tonight. A man in the Chicago suburbs is walking around with a large knife, more at 11.
yelling, yeah, yeah.
Get it out. I think that's good I think it's healthy and good. Just be careful, don't wield it irresponsibly.
Well, I feel like the moment you've held this, the irresponsibility has begun. Unfortunately,
What's interesting about it is it has a very flat tip. It's like it's a blunt.
You can't be
edge.
stabbing with it.
Yeah, it doesn't look primed for.
They also showed a photo of like
And it's
someone
very
like
thin.
stripping wood. Like if you
Oh,
had
sure.
like a big stick and you I don't want it to turn it into a spear, then like this is
A walking
Is this
stick.
the
You gotta
only-
make a
for you.
walking stick.
Is this the only thing that came in the box?
No. The actual like cast iron pan and
Oh, okay.
like the stuff I requested, which I my wife was excited about.
Are you going to season that pan?
Congrats to well, she will. She knows how to. I follow orders. You know, I'm in the kitchen. I can cook, but it is like zero blank on creativity. You tell me what to do, I got it.
That's good. That's a good sous chef.
That is my role. Lay out the ingredients, show me the instructions. I'll make you a meal. Show me a bunch of potential ingredients that could be a meal, and I will show you Grubhub.
The thing about cooking that is cool is it's basically Legos.
Yes,
I like that. Yeah.
If you have a recipe,
really good. Mm-hmm.
It's like basically doing Legos. Like I would say I'm a decent cook, but I like to follow a recipe and then like deviate where I please. But the aspect of cooking that is the best is you just have all of the little Lego blocks. You got your onions, you got your garlic, you got your whatever. And then at the end, you have finished Lego product.
Yeah.
Which is food.
100%.
But unfortunately, the thing that is not very parallel is the dishes. I guess you have to throw away all the little baggies and stuff, but throwing away the little baggies isn't as bad as doing dishes. I hate doing dishes.
You don't like doing the dishes?
I
love doing the dishes.
Least favorite chore is
doing the
dishes. Hate dishes. It really, I put
on a podcast, like a task in front of me that is like easily completable. I'm good to go.
That's how I end up spending like 20 minutes doing 5 minutes worth of dishes, because I spend like 15 getting the right podcast on in the first place before I can get started, you know?
You got to match the vibes.
Well, and then as we've learned on a recent stream, our new feature, A_coffee_appears, Rob doesn't like pick a podcast, like put on his headphones. He apparently just like blares podcast from the speaker of his phone, not like through like a Google thing, any Google
chaotic.
or Siri thing. He's just blasting Nextlander pods talking about Hitman like in the kitchen while he does dishes.
That is so chaotic because Rob is such a audio freak. Like, you know, he be talking about his speakers. He talks about his headphones.
I don't think it was off the phone though. My implication, what I understood from that, was that he's blasting it from the monster speakers throughout the whole
that
house.
Can't be true.
That's what I thought.
I refuse to believe he is filling an entire condo with
the way that he
Vinny
said
Caravella.
that MK
As
was
desirable as that sounds.
I don't know which is worse, honestly. I don't know which is worse.
I think both of those are terrible.
They're both very bad.
Those are both bad. Get some fucking headphones. Like even some terrible Apple earbuds will get the job done with a tinny podcast.
Yeah.
I have like
the
a
podcast
little
is
Bluetooth
already
speaker that I keep in. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, podcasts are already compressed to hell. They're MP3s. Like, don't worry about it.
Unless. Like, is like Rob, like, are we learning here, Cado, that like Rob is secretly going around asking people for like the raw files of their podcast?
He's getting flax from the source.
Yeah, I can see Brad Shoemaker 100%
having some
doing that
for an archive. Oh yeah, for sure.
God. Natalie, we haven't had you around in a little while.
I know, it's been a while.
Holidays, work. Then you got sick. You're doing okay now?
Yeah, I had COVID. It was not very epic, gamer awesome sauce, but I did.
Yeah, you sounded like you kind of got hit by a truck.
It sucked. I'm really glad I got it post booster because for how sick I was with the booster, if I had gotten it before with like the quote unquote less mild variants, whatever, like I feel like I would have been much more sick. But yeah, I'm all better now. I was sick for like a week. I think I'm trying to figure out the weird part about post-COVID is like figuring out like, is this long COVID question mark? Is this seasonal allergies? Is this exhaustion.
Is this depression?
Is this
Am I just
depression?
tired?
Am I anxious?
Yeah.
I've been having a fun game of trying to figure that out with brain fog, because have a hard time identifying brain fog, but it feel like maybe this is
from
what's
just like
happening to me.
everyday sort of
from just like
whatevers.
everyday,
Yeah.
like, oh, just tired or distracted or whatever. But I think I may have a little bit of that, but otherwise, it's been fine. My whole family did end up getting it, unfortunately, but everyone's okay. So, I mean, my grandma is in like a. What's that?
I was gonna say, did y'all go somewhere, or was it like just
No. I'm pretty sure I caught it.
Yeah.
I think I caught it from the grocery store.
Damn.
Because I hadn't left the house in over 2 weeks.
I mean, these days
hadn't
it's
seen
impossible to
anyone.
know. That's like the whole
Right.
thing.
And
about
it's like
that.
not even necessarily useful at this point to like, where did I get it from?
right.
Unless you're like able to
Unless you,
really
like,
ascertain,
hey,
and then
you went to.
the
I
more
went to
useful
the movie
thing
theater
is to
once.
say I got it, and like here's all the people I've seen, so I'm gonna let you know that
Right.
I definitely have it.
So you
But
should get
I just
tests
feel
and
like there's
stuff,
like
yeah.
Yeah, it's so random now. It feels like this evil lottery system that we play every day,
fucked up.
and it's like, who will it strike today?
Yeah, I don't know how I haven't. At this point, I'm fairly convinced. Well, I'm not. I don't know how we haven't gotten it yet because like it's like ripped through the school systems.
Yeah.
Like so many kids end up asymptomatic, and so they just end up passing it along to their families, not knowing. But the last scare we had over Christmas, everyone tested negative. And so I don't know. I mean, it's possible that we're like continuing to like just dodge bullets like Neo in the Matrix, but you know, I mean, we're certainly not hunkering down the way we used to. Like I took the kids to Disney on Ice last weekend. It's like, all right, well, a week later, still fine. So I don't know. It's, it's weird.
It's really weird. I mean, I take care of my grandma, so we have like healthcare workers that come. So I was in the same boat of like, I'm going to catch it at some point, just from the nature of like my lifestyle.
Yeah, just like where it's how society is treating it at this point. The fact that it's 2 years in and there's decent medical treatments for if my kids were in a compromised position, I'd have a different stance on like how our family was conducting themselves. But it's sort of like like at this point, it feels like if you leave the house, the Omicron is so omnipresent that it is just going. You just have a chance that it's going to get you, and you didn't do anything wrong.
No, it's not like I think we've moved past the sort of like moralization of getting it or not getting it. Like we're like
people are purposely putting themselves in higher risk categories to even just get it. Now these days, like I don't think that's true anymore. I just know too many people that like they're doing the things they were supposed to do and they're still getting it. And it's like, all right, well, we just moved into a different phase.
We're in a different phase of it. Yeah, it sucks. I long for the day of post. I'm surprised GDC still hasn't canceled.
I don't think anything's going to cancel anymore. I think
E3 did though. E3 committed to
E3. I think E3. I think conveniently used COVID as a way to. E3 canceled itself.
So guys, we still don't have the convention center book. Should we just like cancel this thing?
Yeah.
If you put together the dots, I think what is more likely to have happened is their presentation on how they were going to do E3 did not materialize enough interest to justify like going and doing that. Whereas like doing a digital event is cheaper, easier. There's less humiliation involved if it doesn't go well.
It's also so much more efficient, like just in terms of getting. I mean, when you go to a I do miss cons. I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I
really do.
I would love to go to an E3 or a PAX and as soon as I'm able.
Yeah, I dodged a fucking bullet. I went to Anime NYC.
Oh, right. That was like the first Omicron case.
Yes,
wasn't it?
the first Omicron, or like the first big breakout of like Omicron happened at Anime NYC.
Oh,
some guy from, I forget where the person was from. They were from Missouri or something, but they got home and tested positive when they got home. So it was like, oh, everyone at that con probably got.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I dodged a bullet twice. The Anime NYC, and then my fucking family deciding to take a cruise over Christmas, on being stuck on a boat with other people. It was.
See?
But we got out of it. We got fucking lucky. Didn't have anything for. None of us caught it. Luckily.
What do they do with cruises? They you just have to you have to stay on the cruise, right? Like if you've been exposed or infected,
I don't
like,
even
the
know.
cruise
I don't
just
even know.
Continues. It's like the forever.
Yeah, it goes forever.
Here's the brig. We'll send down some beer.
They force you to take tests on the way in. So like.
Right.
Technically, the day of the cruise leaving, no one was sick, but we know how those rapid tests work at this point. You could have it and not have enough antibodies for it to show up on the test, and the next day you would test positive, right?
Yeah.
So
I've seen that happen many times.
It's like not even. But yeah, there was no, as far as I know, there were no incidents on the boat either. So
that's good.
Lucky, basically.
Lucky. Well, it's coming for us all. So.
Yeah.
It's only like your RNG can only last so long before
COVID. Out here praying to RNGesus, please don't let me get COVID.
I know.
I'm gonna take some RNG off the table. I'm happy to report. I'm gonna reload this page right now.
Yeah.
Make sure it's true. Cado, the PC is back.
What?
Back at Costco.
Oh my god!
I'm on the page right now. Like right before it came down, told my wife, I was like, that PC's back. I'm gonna buy on the credit card. You're gonna get a notification, and then I'm gonna take the money from the PayPal account. I'm gonna put it over there.
We got it all figured out.
Got all figured out.
From.
Just a Godspeed.
Hell
so yes.
I'm
Costco,
very excited.
Approximately 10 to 15 business days from now, I will have my Brad Shoemaker approved CyberPower.
Did you already
PC.
place the order?
No, I'll do it at some point while one of you is talking. So by the end of this podcast, I can say that the order is. That's why
just wait until the podcast goes out so that people can buy it again.
I'm going to purchase this before
the podcast is recording. Yeah.
Wow, guys, I just found this wild PC.
Look at this shit.
Costco.
Oh, I should really tweet this link. Hold on. I gotta share this with my followers.
Okay, I'm adding to cart. Not continue shopping. Why are there two things in my cart? No, I don't need two PCs.
Buy two.
Are you sure? Just in case. One of those orders is gonna get canceled.
Check.
Oh my god.
Out.
I like this most helpful favorable review that just says rock solid PC, rock solid components. That's exactly what I expect.
What else do you need to know?
Yeah,
from a PC for
right there.
Patrick.
And people have been very helpful. They have been like sending me other PCs that I could buy, but like I was like so crestfallen when this fell. There's like
you fell in love.
It was perfect.
Well, and like this one was signed off. Rob's sending me other PCs, trying to get me to spend like $1,000 more, and I'm like, Rob, you're the last person I would ask for advice on this. I just we're at other ends of the spectrum on how we buy these things. So every day, I like towards the end of the day when I'm like just winding down, I would like check Costco's like gaming desktop section, and slowly over the past like a week or so, they've been just taking away options. It was like there was like a $2,000 Dell one gone, like another one gone. I was like, oh, maybe they're just getting out of the game. And then this morning I checked it and they like had refreshed all of them, or maybe Costco heard my cry, like someone on the pod was like, hey, can we like just list that, like get one more out there for my boy Patrick.
Shout outs
to
the listener if that's true. getting
let me know. And why didn't you send me a promo code? Is what I'm saying.
Wow.
I'm getting knives in the mail, but or giant mini swords. All right, I'm clicking.
Wow, I'm very happy
place,
for you.
Order, and that's a PC.
I have to say, I'm still pretty upset about what happened on last Friday's stream, in which I was roasted for my PC build.
Wow.
I haven't recovered.
That's why we haven't seen
Natalie
you as much.
That's why Natalie's going to also buy this Costco PC.
I'm looking at it. It is less expensive than what I paid for my build, which is
well, but it's
me.
it's like a year later, right?
When did I get mine? I got mine in 2020.
Yeah, so 2 years. That
But
makes sense.
mine was more expensive and is worse.
Worse now? Or was it top of the line then and things just have progressed? What do you got
I don't
there?
know anymore. I thought it was pretty good at the time, but
And
then I was getting
Chat was like mid.
chat was just absolutely roasting me, and
That's
now
the
I just
fucking
feel like
internet,
I don't know
though.
what to believe.
The internet is always out to
Yeah.
roast
Chris-
you. They're always coming at you.
Of course, now my problem is I'm going to have to... These monitors are now an issue.
Yeah.
Why?
I have like two 1080 monitors, and so I will probably, I don't...
Are you gonna make the jump to 4K? Are you gonna abandon us 1080pers?
Almost certainly not. But probably for like, because I've looked at the cost of those things. It's like I'm not going to spend the cost of a PC to attach a monitor to my computer. But I do have I have a really nice 4K TV that is connected to my computer. So it's like my games can just spit out there, and it's got the whatever, it's got all the fancy high-end features that I would get in a monitor, but I will probably wait for some sale at some, like, I'm not in a rush. But at some point I'll buy like a 1440p, like G-Sync something or other. But those are like, they seem like they're like $700. So I can sit and stress about that.
I got mine for like $400 at Best Buy sale. The LG one.
Okay, like that's what I figure I'm going to do is like wait for the next Labor Day, Memorial Day or something like that, and like I'll just keep my eye on something. Those curved monitors look really cool, but they seem like they also seem like a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
curved monitor gamers are always mad that when people don't program the PC games to fill it because you're like 0.0003% of the market.
Your
I'm
aspect
sorry.
ratio sucks. Sorry.
Shout out to Rob and his ultra wide.
Right? Yeah, I don't think it's as curved though, right?
No,
it's just or is that?
Oh, it's got a bit of a curve in it, I think. Just a little touch of a...
I think there's a hint of a curve to it. Yeah.
Hint of a curve.
Just go back to the old ways and simply have 3 monitors. That's what I do.
Well, that's probably so. There's a good
3?
chance. There's a good chance that I will. Like, I have 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
One is basically a
Twitter
that's where like
monitor.
Twitter and email and like admin stuff, like stuff lives, and then like my browser is in the other one. So I'll need 2, but I can't imagine I'm gonna buy. I don't need 2 fancy monitors. So like one will still stay the 1080.
Yeah.
Twitter box. You don't get upgraded.
I have like a Dece middle monitor for gaming, and then I have 2 like less Dece
periphery work
monitors.
So that's what I figure. That's what I figure I'll do. Yeah.
And I also got over the break while I was gone, I did a major desk rehaul.
Nice.
I've got a new desk that does standing and sitting. And the biggest change I made was I got a monitor mount for my desk. So all of my monitors are off my desk now, and they're on this like monitor mount.
I think that's where I'm going to.
It's a game changer. It changed my life. Like, I can't explain to you how much joy it gives me to not have like just so much desk space taken up by monitor.
It kills me.
What are they called? What are the monitor feet called?
The mount, the stand, I guess. The monitor stand. I also have this problem where the stand for the newer one that I got, this LG 1440p one, has like a riser on it. Like it can go up and down, which is great. I can get it up high enough.
Oh, yeah.
But I have my secondary screen is an old Asus 1080p, like those like very standard whatever. Like we had them in the Vice office or whatever. It's so low, it like hurts my neck if I look over there too often. So I had to put it up on a bunch of books, and like there's just like a stack like 4 inches thick of books to get it high enough that it's not like cricking my neck. And so like that's just completely lost space under there.
You need
just,
it for yourself.
I wanted wall rack because I'm against the wall anyways, but I think a desk mount is probably cheaper. That was my big issue, was like I looked into the racks and they were all very expensive. It's like, I don't, maybe someday. But
yeah,
at some point when I get the new computer, I'll just take like a picture of my desk and tell Twitter, like, hey,
make this good.
What I don't have.
Help.
That's also my problem. Is like like I build all the furniture in the house. I can do that, but like a vision for how a room should look.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'll just stick with what I've got because I don't even know where I'd start. So I need to broadcast that out so people can give me ideas.
I'm
Just
the
tell me what
exact
to
same.
buy.
I'm like, I know how to make this work functionally. Like this
Yes.
will
Right.
be functional. It will look. My desk is in the middle of my room. I'm
Wait, don't
looking
you
at
have
my
a corner
bed
desk?
behind me. No, my bed is directly in front of me.
But, I mean,
so
it
every
is a-
night I fall asleep to the
Oh my
RGB lights of my computer.
But your desk is a corner desk. It's just not in the corner.
It's a corner desk. It creates kind of like its own room in the middle.
Right.
Of
I
my
think
room.
I understand the vibe there of just like, this is kind of a
Work-life
closed off
separation.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get one of those like folding screens or something to block it off. I don't know.
I know, but then it would just close up the room even more. Like
Right.
I kind of just embrace it. Like it is like it's my work, it's my life. So I've just embraced it. Would I love to have like an office? That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to not fall asleep to the RGB lights of my computer every night. I know there's a way to turn it off, but it's kind of nice. It's like night.
Yeah,
light.
you've
My
you've
night
embraced the glow.
light. Exactly. But
All right. Well, we'll quickly jump through. I just want to update folks on where the Activision stuff is before we move on to the games that we've been playing. Since we last talked, basically Activision, announced that they were not going to recognize the union. That in addition to not recognizing it, they also proposed changes to the QA staff. The QA staff are the workers at Raven Software, a subsidiary of Activision Blizzard, that were looking to unionize. Activision Blizzard and Raven had proposed that the QA people be integrated across departments. That is increasingly common, both in, it's kind of started amongst independent game development because it was like better from a resource allocation standpoint, and is now becoming more and more prominent in like AAA game development, in which, as opposed to QA being at the bottom of the pipeline, where like we make game, give to QA, QA tells us bugs, and then it goes back up, which is it's just bad process, especially when games are so big, made for so long. Having QA people that are like in the art department, in the pit with different departments is where this is going. So it is not to say that what Activision and Raven are proposing is explicitly a union busting tactic on its own. It is awfully convenient that news comes days after that department announces they would like to be formally recognized as a union. And part of what Activision then proposed afterwards, by not voluntarily recognizing the union, was that they would like Raven Software as a studio to vote whether or not they want to become a union. Once you start acting the entire studio, that's more people. It gets more complicated. This is a common way of kind of like gunking up the works on forming a union, like the small group that wants to do a thing for themselves. Well, if you suddenly spread that out to hundreds of employees instead of a couple of dozen, it's going to make it more difficult to get everyone on the same page. And so that's currently where that stands.
So at Raven Studio, I'm assuming not everyone at Raven is working on. So it is working on QA for Activision. Am I correct?
No, yeah, Raven became like a Call of Duty support studio years back, and then we're like building levels for the multiplayer sections of games, and then are now, I believe, primarily doing like design and QA to support Warzone.
I see. So basically they're offloading the union recognition to be within Raven itself rather than like between Activision and
and from what I understand, like the National Labor Board can deny Activision's request to have Activision ask for the entire studio to vote for unionization. So it's not necessarily a done deal that because Activision says, Raven, you got to do as a studio, that's the path forward. But it is a possibility. And like now you have to go through a process. You start stretching out that process. You know, again, even if like individually these may not seem as though it is, like Bobby Kotick like coming down and being like, don't form a union, you chuckle fucks. Like all of these individual acts add up to trying to create doubt, fear,
absolutely,
as opposed to just saying, yeah, man, it's cool. Like, do you guys want to just like negotiate as a unit? That's fine. So we'll have to see where it goes from here. But I just wanted to make sure we got folks up to date on where we are with that at the moment. And we can skip the other stuff unless people have strong feelings about that.
I do.
What? Which one?
Were you going to say Star Wars from Respawn?
I was going to say Star Wars. Dark Forces reboot, please. Would be my thought there. What is your strong thought?
I mean, if someone's gonna do it, I'm like happy Respawn is doing it because I didn't finish Fallen Order, but I liked Fallen Order a lot, and I also like Respawn as a company a lot. So
they don't miss.
They don't miss.
Okay, they did make the Medal of Honor VR game. They missed on that. That one was not. The game was not very good. I did not play. They made a good there was a good documentary that won an Oscar or was nominated.
Won.
I think it won.
It won,
right?
Yeah.
That was Rob's whole bit was he interviewed the documentarians and then like after the Oscars like stayed up till 4 a.m. like writing up his interview to try and make it timely. So the game itself was not very good, but they largely do not miss. Titanfall 2, Apex Legends, Fallen Order, like a really smart studio full of lots of really smart people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to put all of your eggs into a basket, I mean, they are kind of stretching Respawn like weirdly thin, right? Like I think Vince Zampella is also overseeing the Battlefield unit and how that world is going to expand. So there's a little bit of EA being like, well, we got this good thing. Let's stretch it out as far as we can. But I don't know. So far, so good from Respawn. I'm excited that like I could be playing a Fallen Order 2 later this year and a Star Wars FPS a couple of years from now.
Yeah. I mean, it's shocking that that more than one game is being announced, and like I don't know, that like it just seems like a lot for the company to take on. And
yeah,
I mean, these things we also had this week. Blizzard announced that they're making a survival game that doesn't have a title. They said it's in a new universe, and they announced it alongside like job listings. And we also
completely missed that.
Yep. And we also had Crytek announce in a teaser trailer that they're making Crysis 4 and also said, and here's where we're hiring. I mean, what's funny about both of these is, or all three of these, like the Star Wars announcements are tied into this as well, is like one of the dirty secrets, or not so dirty, but like one of the secrets of why games are announced years and years in advance with CG trailers is not just because they're not ready to be shown, but it is simultaneously sort of like a morale boost for people who are about to embark on a project for several years, and also recruitment effort. Like those videos are, hey, this shit look cool. Come help us actually realize the vision of this CG trailer. And so posting job descriptions alongside it is just formalizing what was happening anyway, and is a little more honest of just how the process works. And so. I guess, and you could also imagine that Activision is probably having some difficulty, or Blizzard is having, I guess both of them probably having difficulty with talent retention and getting talent to come on board. So, announcing stuff like that early and trying to beef up interest makes some sense.
But
interesting that Blizzard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, you go. My thing is going back, so you go.
Oh, I was gonna say interesting that Blizzard is getting into the survival game market.
It feels like that's one of the two like big things that everyone like now. That's the new battle royale as far as things that people think are popular with the kids, sort of thing.
Right.
You know,
And it's before AAA has really
survival
gotten
games.
into it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's all been indie stuff that's hit, right? You know, like the Rusts and the Valheims and stuff that, I don't know, it feels like it was inevitable for a AAA to try to do one in that style.
Yeah, I guess thinking of it's wild that it has taken this long.
Right. It's like,
yeah.
What was it? Isn't there like an Ark? What was the Ark thing? Is there an Ark movie or something? I don't know. Like Ark has gotten huge, but that was an indie game, right? Like, and so like, you know, it was inevitable that the AAA would eventually be like, maybe us. What I was going to bring up before about the games, I hadn't realized this. The announcement had included a strategy game, and I was like, Respawn strategy? But that's actually being developed by XCOM people from Firaxis. Yeah. And that's very exciting to me.
I saw Rob on Twitter saying he was like prepared to go to war to do like to defend the last Star Wars Rebellion, I think is like the last Star Wars RTS. Apparently that has a cult following. I didn't play. I think it was Rebellion. I don't know that there's. Nope, that's a board game. Nope, that is also nope. It's also a video game.
Oh no, I think
it's both.
It's both. Are they? Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't know.
I would not put it past Rob to be like, yo, this board game would make an excellent video game. It's like the opposite of all the like the Bloodborne board game. Like, hey, take the strategy stuff from this board game and make it into a strategy game. That makes sense to me. I just feel like it's one of the spots where I think you can do a lot in the Star Wars universe, and they don't make enough of those games, right? Like they don't make enough. Like it's always.
You say that now, but at the speed at which they're announcing Star Wars games, right. I feel in.
They don't make enough strategy games in Star Wars, right? Like I feel like all we get is action. It's a lot of because it's an adventure series, but like there's still some of my favorite stuff in Battlefield 2 was just like the galaxy map mode back in like on the PS2 one where you could like move your little. It was like the barest amount of strategy, but it was enough to be like. This is fun, and I want more of it. So, that's exciting.
You look at Star Wars, if you look at Star Wars as a franchise, it manifests in so many different mediums, so many different forms. That's a good precedent for it also having success in many different mediums and forms in games. I think.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I mean, they are like hero adventure stories at the end of the day. So, I can see why.
At least like modernly, there hasn't been that many. I'm sure there are some old games that I never heard of that exist that are more strategy based, but before my time,
Couldn't be me playing those games.
I'm sure Rob knows.
Yeah, Rob is. I don't know if Rob listens to the podcast that he isn't on, so he can silently shake his fist. Hopefully, Rob has us on a speaker.
Yeah, wherever he is right now, speaker. He's so.
Oh my god! Rob is in the chat.
Yeah, we fucking we summoned him.
Rob just we were posting screenshots of Star Wars shit. And Rob just entered our group chat and said, "I cannot believe I'm missing this. Are you really doing this to me?"
Well, and I specifically posted a screenshot of Star Wars Rebellion, which, if, rewind the tape, I said, I'm pretty sure Rob is hyped for that game. Yeah. And I conjured him. Get off Discord, Rob. Rob, what Rob should do is he should put our recording on a speakerphone so he can listen to what we're doing in real time but cannot contribute.
Right. Just come into the call and just leave it on in the background.
Rob's missing the conclusion to the computer Star Wars Rebellion talk.
Damn.
Rob, just load up Star Wars Rebellion. You should stream that. I think that people want to see you play Star Wars Rebellion and give it the defense that it deserves. I'm gonna
drop that into one of our
into the Trello.
Yeah.
Rob plays Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah.
Let's take, because we've already gone long, let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing. Cado's finally going to let us know about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Some game called Strange Horticulture. And and then I'll talk about trying to play video games. Having spent 5 years avoiding playing video games with my daughter, and now I'm being dragged into playing them because she's showing a genuine interest in my... I'm conflicted. So we'll be back after the break. See you in a second. Cado, Pokemon, Atreus,
Atreyu.
Alcor. What is this one called?
Alcor. Well, it's funny you say that because I don't know. Pokemon Legends Arceus?
Does anyone
Who could say
it out loud?
Arcadius.
They don't. There's no voice acting in the game. It's classic Pokemon. Just
It's not like
stylized
Resident
boxes.
Evil where you hit start and it's like Pokemon Legends Arcadius.
Arceus. I think
This
technically
is
it's Arceus.
the big new.
Yeah.
The big new open world Pokemon game coming strangely several months after the last big Pokemon game, which is a remake of
that barely
the
counts.
DS. Well, but Nintendo doesn't publish a lot of games,
Yeah.
and to publish 2 Titan level Pokemon games within 6 months of each other is interesting. It's why I kept thinking this game was going to get delayed.
Right.
It's like, why not just release this in April?
I mean, they maybe should have at points, but we can get into that.
All right, well, let's get into it.
It is technically, even though it's Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's got this weird name. People are considering it the next big like mainline Pokemon game. Those are generally
An
always
evolution,
made,
so to speak.
Yeah, those are generally made by Game Freak, and like Game Freak didn't handle the rework. That was shipped out to a different studio. But they've been working on what I've affectionately heard called Breath of the Pokemon. When you're looking at that original trailer, if you like pull up the launch trailer for Breath of the Wild and the launch trailer or the announcement trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's strikingly similar. But it is essentially the kind of open world, open worlding of Pokemon. They've really swung for the fences here, and I think they hit on a lot of points, and I've been really enjoying it.
Can I just stop you there? Like the fact that you are the one thing, I don't play a lot of Pokemon games, like drop them. Like I kind of fell off them after middle school, and but the thing that I love like reading about it because like the Pokemon fans are like about as passionate and irrational as like fan bases come. And the thing you never, ever hear someone say in regards to, at least in like recent history, a new Pokemon game is they swung for the fences.
Nope.
Like it is.
Nope.
This is a studio that over and over is seen as like hyper conservative, deeply incremental. Granted, that's like in many ways represents Nintendo as a company, but like institutionally, Pokemon as a franchise has always been. In recent history, something where it's like, here's another one of those, and here are the handful of changes we've made. But really, it's like the average person. It kind of seems like the same game with new Pokemon.
Absolutely, it's a very strong. If it's not broke, don't fix it mentality to like a detrimental degree, essentially. Like, and I think even though Pokemon has always sold well, something finally. Like they finally decided to do something really, really different, and it's exciting, and I think it mostly works. Like the structure of this game is completely different to any other one, where it's no longer just like RPG battles with your Pokemon. You are essentially walking around an open world where the Pokemon are wandering around, and they all act like wild animals. Some of them, when you approach them, will run away. some of them, when you approach them, will fucking try to eat you, basically. And
Good. You know what? Finally,
right.
the
Finally.
Pokemon
They can fight back.
the way they should have.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this.
And so much of the game is actually kind of a weird open world stealth game where you're trying to make your way through the world and catch Pokemon. You have a slightly higher chance of catching Pokemon when they're unawares from you, and if you hit them with the Pokeball in the back, you're basically it's like you have two things that you can throw, like you can either throw out a Pokeball that has a Pokemon in it and they'll interact with whatever is around them when they land, or you're throwing a bunch of throwable items like berries to attract Pokemon, or firecrackers to like scare Pokemon away, or Pokeballs that if you hit them, it'll try to catch them, and you can kind of change the rate of how likely you are to capture one by doing certain things like feeding them or staying hidden and things like that. But it's everything in the game is like, it doesn't cut away the way like the old Pokemon games are when you go into battle and things like that. It's
like
all
throw the ball, capture, cut,
Yeah.
the traditional kind of JRPG
Right,
swipe, where like
exactly.
we're going to a different mode, and
you're still in the world. Like if you throw a Pokeball at a Pokemon and there's another one that's too close, all of a sudden it's a 2v1 against your Pokemon and things like that. Like it matters where shit is. One time I got chased down by a group of like they'll start to do pack maneuvers, like a group of Shinx where there's just these little like dog cat electric things. Like I accidentally ran into one and started to run away, and then I ran into two more and they started to like go around me, and I threw out a Pokemon just like, I guess I have to battle one of them, and it turned into a battle of all three of them. Like they were all within like, there's like a radius of where just they're all included, and it was like, oh fuck, I'm fucked.
and at that point, does the game transition to a more traditional like Pokemon like attack, or does everything remain in real time even in combat?
No, once you're in combat, it is turn based, but you basically have an action like a list, an action list. You can see what order the Pokemon are going to be attacking in, and there's a new mechanic here where you can choose a different type of attack style basically for certain moves. They have two styles: strong style and agile style. Both of these styles cost more of the like Pokemon points. Like you can only use a move 10 times before you have to heal a Pokemon. This will cost double whatever it normally costs, and then it'll either make it super fast but a little bit weaker, or make it super strong but then you don't go as soon again in the turn order. So there's like turn order manipulation here that didn't exist in the like that is completely new. I like once was able to get 3 moves in a row on a Pokemon because that Pokemon was trying to do a strong move, and I did 3 super fast agile moves and like was able to get a KO, and like that sort of thing is like they've changed even the base battle.
There was some of that in the Monster Hunter Rise, the most recent one, like which a couple of us played. Me and Austin played just a couple hours of, and like that was also. I didn't play a ton of that, but I appreciated the time that I did play in it, where it was like you were
not Rise Stories, right? Is that one the RPG?
Stories? That's right. That's right. Yes. Where you were, a lot of the game was a rock paper scissoring to manipulate sort of like the order of the battle, beyond just like hit with something that has a weakness, so you do better damage.
100%, and like that has like changed. Like I've been using a lot more of the sort of like power up stat moves and shit like that, because like I can do them in agile style. There's no real detriment. Like they still give me the same bonus. I just do them faster. It just costs more PP to actually cast it. And then I can still do an attack right after that, right? Like it just has changed the way that you even consider like battling. The other thing about this is this takes place basically in the past, in like the Pokemon history's past, and you are part of a team that is making the first Pokedex ever. which means like normally in a Pokemon game, you catch a Pokemon, and like the idea is you're trying to fill out your personal Pokedex.
That's my favorite thing to do in Pokemon games. Yeah, is to complete the Pokedex. Yeah, that's like the thing I play it for.
It's super fun.
And the exact opposite. That sounds like a nightmare. Which is, we can get to that because you've mentioned before, Cado, about like it's hard for you to put yourself in the situation of like how does this game read to someone that's not already like a Pokemaniac. But continue.
Since you're making the first one, instead of it just automatically filling in when you catch one, you have to actually do the research to fill it out. So the first time you catch one, it gives you like 1 research point. You catch a couple more and that research goes up. You see them, there's like a little list in the Pokedex of like things you can do to fill out this entry. One of them is like defeat a certain type with a certain type of move. So it's like I can defeat the Roselia with I have to defeat it with a fire move, and that gives me a research point. Or if I catch a Roselia and see it use absorb, like if you see it use absorb enough times, it'll give me another research point. And eventually it fills in. Like once you get 10 research points, that Pokemon entry is done, and you can see like all the information that you would normally see in the Pokedex, like the locations you can find it and what kind of food it likes, which is useful because you can feed them food in the wild to try to get them to be easier to catch. And that part of it has been really great. I've always been a kind of in-betweener on the Pokedex. Like, I will try up to a point, and like, if I miss a really rare one in an area and it's like taking a little bit too long, I'll move on and be like, I'll come back after the post game, and then I never really do. I get to like 80% most of the time. I'm like, that's enough, I guess. But I still like the idea of like trying to fill the collection. And in this one, like, it's so fun just like going around and doing these different interactions, battling them and catching a bunch of them to fill out the decks that I think I'm gonna actually finish it this time. Like, I just want to do that.
Because you mentioned sort of the puzzle aspect of like approaching, like using berries to feed them, or like, is that stuff that is pure experimentation on your part? Like, all right, this is a new Pokemon, I don't exactly know how they're gonna react, or like how are you? How does that figure into the aspect of like the exploration? Like, are you like getting an encyclopedia back in town?
No, that's totally up to experimentation. Like the first time I ran into Togepi, which is like this little egg baby Pokemon, very cute Pokemon, I wasn't sure how to approach it, so I kind of like did a slow approach to see if it would even notice, run at me or run away or whatever, and it disappeared almost instantly. It was one of these things I hadn't seen in any of the other Pokemon where it's like, oh, it's super skittish. It has to be completely unaware of my presence. And like, you have to kind of figure that out for each Pokemon. Some of them don't give a fuck that you're there and will just kind of like walk around, like Bidoofs. Like, you can walk up and kick a Bidoof probably, and it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Bidoof's been asking for it.
No, never kick the Bidoof. I'm just saying they're that slow and unassuming. Some of them, like there's like some of them are super aggressive, and like I almost got by a pack of Drifloons, which is this ghost Pokemon. They have a move that can put you to sleep, and I got hit with that, and then like I was just stunned, and then 2 other Drifloons like float up and start doing fucking psychic attacks that actually deal damage to me, and I fainted. I just got completely caught out, and it's like I've never experienced like a sense of any sort of fear or conflict in the wild in a Pokemon game. It's like, I'm gonna make it through. Mount Moon is maybe like the most treacherous thing in any Pokemon game ever. Yeah. And that was just like in the first one. After that, a lot of the dungeons didn't feel particularly challenging.
You have to like artificially create difficulty.
Yes.
Often in Pokemon games, whether that's like taking off XP share in the newer ones or like doing Nuzlocke runs or different things like that. Otherwise, like, the games aren't hard. They're
like, but they started as RPGs for kids,
right?
And then people got very attracted to the collection aspect, and it seems like that has been maintained for better and worse depending on like where you are in like your age,
Right.
or like you know, I mean, it's Pokemon is very similar to, you know, franchises like Star Wars, where it's like, okay, what do we do with a franchise that converted a bunch of kids into super fans, but then they didn't give it up, and now we have to try and find a way to appeal to like the broad spectrum. Like the Pokemon company's approach to that is basically been to be like, we know you're here anyway. We're going to keep making these games for kids. And I mean, they make some concessions. It's not they're completely ignoring the hardcore community, but they have more or less kept their eyes on the ball of, we are going to cater these towards a younger demographic and rely on the fact like the bones of Pokemon will continue to appeal to larger groups of people, with the understanding that like, look, if you want the hardcore RPG, go find it somewhere else, because that's not what this is. But like, this is the first case, and like giving it the Legends like branding certainly suggests like, hey, we might be like diverging, right? Like where you will probably still get like the traditional Pokemon games they've been making, but that Legends is almost like, hey, you know, like Pokemon for adults or folks who are looking for something that's a little more mechanically involved. Yeah, it
definitely feels like the hardest, or like the most they've successfully sold the idea that Pokemon in the wild are dangerous. Like that was always the thing in the original games. Like, you don't go into the tall grass without a Pokemon, you might get got by other Pokemon. And like that you never really felt that, right? It was always like, oh sure, I'll believe you, I guess, but it doesn't seem that bad out here. It feels like, yes, these are wild animals. They are in their own space, and like you're the one invading, kind of. And it's really fun to like kind of navigate those spaces and like decide when to engage, and like decide when to just kind of like, you know what, I can't take this fight, or I'm running low on berries, I'm gonna, you know, try to find my way around instead. And I think the addition of like having to kind of fill out the Pokedex, like having you do more targeted tasks, has made filling out the Pokedex more fun for me, than just like, you catch one and you're done, you're good. And
then you know, like watching folks, like friends of mine that like play these games, like there's also like the RNG like aspect of it, where you're like roaming around hoping you're going to run into a creature so you can catch it, so you can add it to your collection. I know like the shinies were like a huge part of that in some of the recent games. Yeah. Right. But I just mean like that is definitely like one of those things where that's where they've leaned into the hardcore collection crowd.
Right.
How does that work here? Like, is it just, if you know where to look, they're just going to show up, or is there still an aspect of like, all right, I guess I need to go sleep in the town to reset the RNG of the area, hoping I'll run into whoever.
I'm not 100% sure how shinies work yet specifically, and that has always been kind of at endgame. There's like a method where you could kind of farm for shinies and like make that the chance that you get one go up. But for things like a rare Pokemon, it seems like what they've just kind of made them harder to find in general. It feels less like you're going out with the goal of finding a specific thing and like walking back and forth in like a specific patch of grass, then you are exploring an area, and like you'll be happy when you see one that is like rarer. Like you're like, oh, I've seen a bunch of these other ones, but that's the only one of those I've seen. And then you like take a step, you start to figure out, okay, how can I approach this without it seeing me, right? Like it becomes a different kind of like, it's a little less like you're choosing to hunt in a specific spot for a thing. It's more like, oh, I was surprised to find this here, and now because I haven't seen many of these, I'm going to change my tactics here. I think like having it be that you're kind of exploring these open areas really just changes the way that you're engaging with the collection aspect of it at all, really. And there are certain you start to learn kind of like, oh, another thing I haven't mentioned is they have like a day-night cycle. And so that also changes where things are. Like ghost Pokemon only come out at night, obviously, things like that. So you start to learn kind of like, oh, if I go over here in the morning, there'll definitely be some of this kind of common thing and things like that. But on first pass, when you're first like exploring an area, and like they have a few different, I think I'm not at the end of the game. I'm like halfway through. I think I've seen 3 biomes, and I think there's 5 if I'm cutting up the map correctly in my head. But like when you first enter one of these areas, like it's like you're slowly uncovering map just by, you don't have, there's no towers in this game or anything. Like you can see the land masses, but you start to uncover, like it goes from kind of being grayed out to being fully colored in as you like walk around and explore. And the way that Pokemon are kind of dangerous to kind of just walk past makes it so that the exploration is kind of is the game, right? It's finding the edges of the space and trying to traverse while there's things that want to kill you or that you want to catch, kind of wandering around, It's kind of it's difficult to describe because I feel like it's a combination of things that I feel like I haven't even seen in other games, like a lot of monster collection stuff that is RPG, like SNT5 and things like that.
Yeah,
are all still in that very like strict RPG model of battles that are separate, and like this one is treating these Pokemon as wild animals that are living kind of in a space, and you're passing through and interacting with them in their natural habitat, which I think is it leans a little closer to the Monster Hunter sort of thing, except that you're fighting them with other Pokemon instead of fighting them one-on-one. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it. There's a lot of there's like these boss encounters too with certain Pokemon where like I defeated one without using any Pokemon to battle it. Like they have this mechanic for some bosses where they're like frenzied, and the point is that you're trying to calm them down. You can't catch them even. They're like these kind of like they call them Pokemon lords. They're like respected by the local like people, and like you're just trying to stop them from rampaging basically. And so you get these like this throwable that you have to hit them with, but it turns into kind of like a mini like Dark Souls boss where what you're doing is just learning attack patterns and dodging, and then taking a moment to like throw a bunch of these like soothing balms at them to try to get the life it's like their frenzy bar, but it's essentially a life bar down. And like if you stun them enough, you can throw out a Pokemon to do extra damage. But there was one where the stun moment was so short that I didn't switch to a Pokemon fast enough, and it just started a new round of attacks. And I ended up finishing that boss fight without getting into the Pokemon battle at all, which was really neat. Just like, I got through a story bit in a Pokemon game without actually being in a Pokemon battle. It's just like a crazy thing to say about a Pokemon game, Yeah. And it was really fun. Like, I think they got the iframes on that dodge real nice, and it's a little ask. Yeah.
Like, I think it's very impressive to me that I guess I'm very surprised that the game's being received so positive. I had such low expectations for this game.
Yeah.
Mostly just because of the tradition of the Pokemon Company and Game Freak just doing the same thing over and over again. I just barely kept up on it because I just didn't really have much to expect. But obviously one of the main talking points of Arceus as it was coming out was how rough the frame rate and general gameplay performance looked. So I'm curious if that's been substantially improved, or if that's something that you kind of learn to live with and it doesn't get in the way too much.
There were, in the original launch trailers, there were some Pokemon that were at like 15 frames a second for some reason. Like as the character was walking up to them, all of that's gone.
And also like the world kind of spawning in.
Yeah, there is still pretty visible pop in if you're paying attention, but I'm usually so engaged with the things that are happening in my direct periphery that I'm like not paying attention to where the pop in is happening. Like, I think the environment needs some work. Game Freak is still not good at building open environments that look good from far away. It like whenever you look out over the landscape, you're like, oh, that
They
that
don't
could
really
use a
create
bit.
like dynamics. Like it
Yeah.
just, I mean, at least
I mean,
especially
they've
yeah.
spent 20 years making top-down RPGs, right? And like that's where their
Yeah.
art style has been. And so with Sword and Shield, the wild areas were also kind of rough. Like they were fine,
super flat.
but
They're just
yeah,
very
very
flat.
flat and
Yeah.
kind of like a little too open. They didn't know how to place trees convincingly. It still has a few of those problems. They're getting better at it, but they fixed the frame rate stuff, so I haven't had any frame rate hitches at all. And the pop in is like if you're really looking out at the edge of where you're heading towards, you can see things obviously like popping into
Yeah.
view, but the game is so it's much more focused on like your immediate surroundings in a way that it's not bothered me really, you know. I think this is where they need to like move next, is to learn how to really make open worlds like areas look good.
Yeah.
They need some people from the Breath of the Wild team to come over and be like, look, this is how we designed some of the like, this is how we made the grass
Exactly.
not look like three little like, you know, sticks coming out of the ground sometimes.
And
And
it's not, I think it's easy to point at Switch games, especially at this point in the Switch's life cycle. Be like, well, you know, the hardware's really behind.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild looks better than this game.
Yes,
and
100%.
It was largely made on previous hardware, so I think this is more of a artistic, not deficiency, but like their artistic choices
Yeah.
are coming into play here more than the Switch's aging hardware. I mean, it doesn't help. I'm sure that Game Freak would benefit from a lower, like a higher floor of hardware. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that. Like if there was a Switch 2, the frame rate would just be better with the exact same game. But I think it is the case that like the art choices here are an issue.
Yeah, they've at least thankfully like frame rate hasn't been an issue at all, which was the biggest thing I was worried about, which like could kill
awesome.
like dodge mechanics, especially like if it gets really framey during a fight, and that hasn't been a problem. But it feels like the art choices and the things they do with lighting, especially in the opening area, just like it's workable. It passes. It's not bad enough to distract from the gameplay, but it's not good enough for me to take a screenshot and be like, damn, look at that cool ass mountain or whatever, you know? And I want to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious if this sort of divergence, you know, if we do end up with these kind of two branching threads of Pokemon games, like this more open world and having this more traditional RPG, if the Legends branch will be subject to the sort of slow iteration that the RPG branch is. I mean, this is this sounds like such a big jump from like Pokemon games of the past that I'm curious if I'm very curious what Pokemon Legends 2 will look like and feel like.
Right.
Yeah, like maybe they feel freed up to not have to like, look, we have this other line of Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's going to stay incremental and conservative and just add, just kind of move along in the path we've been going for 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
And then Legends is like this, like, hey, like we're pitching this at a different audience and it allows us to try different things and more radically shift things up when they inevitably make, a second one of these. I would hope that's like, I think for Pokemon fans, that's like the best of both worlds.
Right.
And that would be really encouraging if they are able to go down that path.
Yeah. I'm glad they took as big a swing as they did on this one, because it's been a goddamn minute since anything has been this exciting in a mainline Pokemon game. And I just like, I hope the iterations on this style come a little faster than they have in the base game, but time will tell.
I was gonna say, lower your expectations. That's usually what you should do with Nintendo. We did have one question come in. I'm gonna pull in from the question bucket from Brian. It says, hello, Waypoint. I'm guessing that the game Cado is very excited for and can talk about on the Friday pod. I think I wrote that in the newsletter on Monday.
Yeah.
is Pokemon Legends. If that's the case, here's a question for Cado about the game. Based on the early trailers and such, the new Pokemon game seems to be based specifically on the Meiji era colonization of Hokkaido from the perspective of the Japanese colonizers. Does the game actually address the themes of colonization at all? And if so, how well do they do? My expectations were super low, given that it's a Pokemon game. But are the indigenous people of Hokkaido even represented at all? Or is it just doing the, quote, empty, unclaimed land waiting for us to settle it, end quote, bullshit narrative that the trailers make it seem like? Thanks, Brian.
This point is part of why I didn't have impressions on Wednesday. It is Nintendo provided one of the strictest, most specific embargoes I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah. And this one was impressive.
It goes past Claymores even. Like, I don't know, individual characters that you couldn't talk about. There was a list, just a list of like NPCs that you can't say the name of, basically. And it's like
some of that stuff does have, like, especially from RPGs from Japanese companies, It is not uncommon to get these like hyper, like the amount of times I have gotten an embargo for a Japanese role-playing game, and instead of like a warning about like major plot points, it's like, please don't spoil that this character dies. And it's like, what? Why would you list that in the bullet points? So it is not uncommon for especially games of this type to have hyper specific embargoes, because Japanese studios especially are very careful about their stories and how much is presented pre-release. But this one was this was an all-timer.
Yeah. Speaking to this, like, you see this a lot in kind of Japanese media when you kind of talk about the like early modernization of Japan, and the like Meiji Restoration, as it was called. They basically have made this this little town, like it's very obvious that the little town Jubilife Village that you're a part of is extremely like Western influenced. This was around the era where like Japan was forced to open trade with the West, where before they had been very kind of closed off. And they started like the headquarters that you're in has Sword and Shield took place in the UK, basically in Pokemon UK, and it looks, they have like the Galarian what's it called, Weezing, that poison Pokemon from the UK area has the top hat. There's one of those like as a smokestack on the building. Like they're very obviously connecting those two worlds, and there are two tribes in the area that are the people that you're mostly helping. The people, the like native people of this land are worship and like coexist with these Pokemon lords, and they're the ones that you're kind of helping when they go into a frenzy. And so I don't know, like I don't actually know that the history super well of what happened in Hokkaido and in Japan, but for the story that they're telling here, it's absolutely one of trying to coexist with these people. Like obviously part of that does include the Western ideas of what modernization means being brought in and kind of slowly disseminated, which is its own form of kind of soft power colonization. I'm not to the end of the game, so I don't know exactly where those storylines go, but there is at least that, like they have those, and I don't know whether the dress in that fits with the indigenous dress of people in that area with Japan. Like I don't know how one-to-one that is, but there is in the narrative two tribes that live in this area, and then your village, which is newcomers to the area. And I think, unfortunately, I haven't gotten far enough to really see how those plot lines diverge, but so far it's been very kind of respectful. Like they're not here to take over the land. You as the part of the survey corps are literally just researching, and there isn't ever any sort of like movement to take up more space from the village. It's just like, we're here and we're gonna kind of survive in this spot that we've kind of carved out. So like, it doesn't have some of the problems that, going back to Monster Hunter, a lot of in World specifically, there was a lot of like, oh, we're gonna start building outward bases, right? Like they literally put in like the
and
expansion.
also these dragons, they're attacking us, thus they're evil.
Right.
So genocide seems like
time
the right
to kill them all.
move.
And yeah, so far in this, it's been a lot of like learning and exchanging ideals with the native people of that land, and there hasn't been any like derision towards their practices. Like we've helped them with their troubles with the Pokemon that they worship, but it's never been like, look at these idiots worshiping Pokemon. It's been like,
right,
this, we need to be, we would like to learn how to better coexist with Pokemon, because everyone else sees them as monsters that we can't live with, right? So there's I think it's like probably like softening the whole thing for I mean, it's still aimed, I think, at like teens and stuff. Like it's not like
right,
quote unquote adult, right? Like those themes are being softened to not like, I'm sure like what actually happened there was probably a lot worse than what is happening in this Pokemon game. And I'm curious to see where the storyline ends up, because it's interesting to have that kind of, historical parallel here, where normally the Pokemon games have not done a whole ton to actually, touch on things like politics or people moving. It's always been kind of very,
very fantasy
specific to the protagonist, like getting the 8 gyms. It's kind of stayed out of the politics of what's happening in the world ever. And like this one is like, oh no, we're gonna talk about like how we are coming into this land, how there are people who are already here that we have to interact with, and whether or not they're gonna fight us and things like that. So that's also interesting, and I wish I had gotten further into the game. I'm optimistic that it's not gonna be bad. At worst, it's basically gonna kind of hand wave the conflict a little bit, but that's kind of better than ignoring that there was ever a conflict.
Better than the
at all.
Monster Hunter approach.
Yeah, and way better than just being like, we're gonna take over this land now.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing how it ends up. I know people are really excited for this game, and I'm happy for you, Cado.
Thank you.
It is
I'm
the game that
so
you're looking forward to.
God,
turned out pretty good. At the very worst, it's like really interesting, which is that's a good place to be with a franchise that
100%
one can have a love and hate relationship with.
Yeah.
Natalie, you have been playing a game.
I played a video game.
You did, and that's, we're not even going to talk about it. It is just, we're here to congratulate Natalie on playing a game, because that's one of the most consistent things I hear about when people go into making games is time to stop playing them. So you played a game called Strange Horticulture.
I did. The deal is it's good. It's that's all you need to know. And
damn,
I
done and dusted.
Strange Horticulture I picked up last week. I think I had played the demo maybe for it during one of those like Steam demo events.
Right.
Which I love that they're doing now. I think it's cool.
And I'm glad Xbox has started doing them too.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to put out some kind of janky, like slight, usually when we say demos, it's like very
like
polished.
A vertical slice.
Like, and it's like when the game's almost done. Whereas I've enjoyed the fact that, Steam's done this for some years now, but that Xbox is like putting up, and they have to put like warnings. It's like, hey, by the way, like these games are like super still being made, so kind of chill if like there are issues. And I think that's cool and helps get some of these games some attention that they might not get if you're just putting out trailers and things like that.
100%. I ended up replaying before I bought it. I ended up replaying the demo, and as soon as I finished the demo, I immediately bought it. I was like upset that the demo had ended. But it comes from the developer Bad Viking, who have done a few games now. I haven't played any of their other games.
Circle Empires Rivals, Sacred Fire, Railroad Corporation 2. Oh, that game's not out yet.
Yeah. Interesting like spread of genre.
I was gonna say that you can't like pin them down on a game they released in 2017, Cranium, a chilling Lovecraftian, a first person like adventure horror. Sacred Fire is a psychological role playing game, whatever that means.
I don't like that.
And one of the games they have coming up is Doomblade, which is this kind of Hollow Knight looking Metroid style thing. And this is a developer, not a publisher. Like that's a wild spread.
It is a big spread. I wonder, I mean, they've worked with the same publisher for most of those past games as well. I wonder if it's a matter of doing kind of like external IP work, and this is like maybe something that was more internal, but I have no idea. I have no idea the history of their studio. But Strange Horticulture is a puzzle game where you essentially play as the shopkeeper of this plant store in a dingy, dank, damp little town called Undermere. And the game is essentially 3 or so screens. You have like a large map screen, you have your shop screen, and you have some kind of like interstitial text-based cutscenes. There's no voice acting. It's all text-based. So it kind of has that like adventure gamey feel to it. But essentially, you're tasked with running the shop. You have these customers that come into the shop and they ask you for things. And you start with a set of probably about 20 plants. And your job is to, using this encyclopedia that you start with, identify the plants and figure out which plant the customer is really here for. Which is really fun. Like the some of them at the very beginning, I was like, okay, like these puzzles aren't too difficult, but they start ramping up in difficulty, and you really have to pay attention to like almost reading between the lines of the encyclopedia entries to figure out which flower is which, or which plant is which, because something may have like each encyclopedia has a drawing, but sometimes the drawings are of like a cross section of the seed of that plant, which you're obviously not going to be able to derive from just looking at you can only kind of look at the plant from one view, which is just looking at the whole plant. So you don't get more specific than that. But I found it very satisfying, and you have like a little label mechanic where you can add labels once you've identified things to manually type in like, this is for this thing, this is for that. And there's like a very strong storyline kind of motivating you through. It's about a 2-week cycle through the game, where essentially there's two cult type.
I was gonna say, when I was looking up the Steam page for this, this is a really well written summary. I'm just gonna read it. Strange Horticulture is an occult puzzle game, which you're already. That's delightful. You're already hooking me in. Which you play as the proprietor of a local plant store. Find and identify new plants, pet your cat, speak to a coven, or join a cult. Use your collection of powerful plants to influence the story and unravel Undermere's dark mysteries. Like that is a hell of a pitch, and it's very great. Funny too. I feel like it communicates. Well, I guess you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it communicates a certain sense of humor and style that must be present throughout the game.
Yeah, there's a bit of humor to it. I will say it mostly takes itself quite seriously.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, look, cults are, you should be scared of the occult. I watched Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like the actual sort of central plot that's going down is taken quite seriously.
Okay.
It's
all
like
right.
pretty dark. And yeah, the thing that I didn't I've played through it twice now. The thing that I didn't realize on my first playthrough, and small spoilers for ending, not plot spoilers, but like mechanic spoilers for ending. So skip 30 seconds if you want to avoid it, or longer. Is that there are, yeah, there are certain points in the game where you can choose which plant to give someone. Like they'll ask you for one thing and you can choose to give them something else and they won't fight you on it. They will just take the plant you give them. And that is like, there's actually a sort of branching endings. And the first time I played it, I got ending 2. And I was like, okay, so there's probably like 3 endings. The second time I played it, I got ending 8. And I was like, okay.
Whoa.
That's a big jump between numbers. Which nothing changed between, like, the plants weren't suddenly different. Like, all the plants were the same on my second playthrough. But I just made different choices in terms of like what plants I was giving people. And yeah, it made me want to play it a few more times to see like how exactly I can fill out between 1 and 8. I have to imagine that 8 is like the end of it. But it's really good. I mean, there's like also this tarot deck mechanic where each day that passes, you pull a card from this deck that has hints to locations on the map that you can go and look for more plants to acquire. So throughout the weeks that you're playing through the story, you're acquiring more plants and more encyclopedia pages to use in various plot beats. So I found it really charming. I almost wish it's very solid. Like it is a whole game. It is like a whole pie. Like everything is in the pie. It's a great pie. I wouldn't add anything to the pie. I almost wish I had like a super mega deluxe version of the pie where I could do like even more stuff. I could get even more detailed. But that's not to like, say that it's missing anything, because I think it's a really
you wish their scope was bigger. Is that what you're saying, Mrs. Producer? Is that our takeaway from this conversation? I think they properly scoped, Natalie.
It is well scoped. It is well scoped. I just found myself wanting more because I'm an insatiable gamer. I have insatiable gamer disease and I am terrible. But
I should point out when we were listing off those other games, so in Steam, usually you can click on the developer and it'll take you to their page and the publisher will be separate. Bad Viking, the developer, does not appear to have a page on Steam because this is their first it looks like their first non-mobile release. So they also did a game called Broken Ground from 2018, so a number of years ago. But this is I think 2 brothers that have largely been doing mobile Flash things. We got games like Blow Things Up 2, Battle Beavers, Bad Eggs Online, Ninja Bear. A lot of these sounds like things which may be perfectly good games, but are like, this is stuff that my daughter is like, can we download this on the iPad? Like sort of games. And Strange Horticulture seems appears to be like sort of the first time they're like building out, more of like
that makes sense.
Popular conception of like an indie game.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I didn't realize that when we had clicked through Bad Viking, we had gone.
Yeah, it explained. Like, it was like, it sounds like the diversity of games here sounds like a publisher. And it's like, because it is. It was actually Iceberg.
Oh my God, fucking Star Dynasties is down here.
Yeah.
Well, if we just scrolled more, then we could have maybe figured it out. That sounds really cool. I like the fact that it really goes all the way with this kind of cute little premise.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I feel like in some of these games, like one thing is kind of compromised to, boost like something else. Like maybe the identification mechanics are really robust, but the narrative plot is like kind of just to move things along rather than having that much depth. So I feel like every sort of like mechanically, narratively, like ambiance wise, the setting, tone, like I think everything is really well rounded, and it doesn't feel like it's at the expense of another mechanic or anything like that. Every single thing is like it feels done, like it feels like well thought out and like a complete thing. So I mean it's surprising, the story itself is surprisingly like dark and deep.
Again, like I was sort of shocked to hear you say that, given that description and sort of the art doesn't look whimsical necessarily, but like that description is like so
feels tongue in cheek.
It feels tongue in cheek.
Yes,
And so I sort of figured the game would also follow that vibe. I mean, it's it's not good or bad. I would just sort of I do find myself a little taken aback and almost more intrigued that it isn't, because that I feel like usually when you see these sort of like high concept sort of premises for games, like that is the direction they go in, because it's easier to do the whimsy and comedy than it is to try and tell something much more serious. But that's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there are some characters that have like a bit of humor to them, or like,
Sure.
but it feels very personalized. It's not like it's according to their personality. It doesn't feel like, like narrator voice or like developer voice, haha, wink, wink. It's more so according to the role that they're playing in the story at large. It's fun. I really liked it. I probably, my first playthrough was probably like three-ish hours.
Nice.
So definitely something you could do over the weekend.
And then did you condense that to half when you're just going through the
second time I played? Yeah, I basically did it in like an hour and a half because I knew what everything was, but it's still like there's so many you get so many fucking plants. Like I had to like go back and be like, and some of them look really, really similar. So you're second guessing yourself. And there is a penalty if you get something wrong. So if you give someone the wrong plant, you have this thing called a living dread that or a rising dread meter that will accumulate. And if you fill that meter, you have to kind of solve a mini puzzle to get back to. So it's not too punitive, but it's still like scary. Like you feel like it goes whomp whomp, and like the dread like rises. It's like a little scary. And similarly, you can't just like go explore anywhere. Like you have this big map, but you have to have a reason to go to a space. So it's not as open as like, oh, I'm just going to go click on different spaces and see if I come back with a plant. Like everything, you either have like a letter that kind of describes the place and you have to kind of figure out on the map where that might be, or you get a clue or told to go somewhere specifically. And that also has a meter attached to it that you have to fill up. And you fill it up by like watering plants, or just as time goes by, it'll fill up on its own. So it's a good way, I think, of pacing the game out, so you're not doing too much too soon and you're taking your time with it. But highly recommend, even if you don't know shit about plants like me. I can't keep a plant alive to save my life.
Yeah, you and my wife both. Like she like when we first bought our house, like on our deck, there's the previous owners had left some like hanging like things that you could put plants in, like plants and flowers into. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm gonna go get stuff for that. I was like, that's cool. And I work from home, so I was like, I don't want to step on her toes. It was like, kind of saw them. That's just dying, man. Like I'm home. I could try and take. I could do the maintenance. Like I'm here. I get downtime. My watch tells me I got to stand. I can get up and I can go water them. And after like one summer of them being just like annihilated, I was like, I'm taking this over. I wouldn't describe myself as what do they say, like a green thumb, but I definitely have had more success. I let her pick I was like, you are so much better at aesthetics. You pick how they're gonna look. Yeah. And get it all set up.
Keep them alive.
I will take the maintenance from here. And that is maintained through COVID, where she's around to do that stuff. Yeah. And I remember when the first COVID summer, I was like, so is she gonna want some of that responsibility back? I'll just let it go. I was like, I think, I'll just let her take some more ownership of that, and let that be her thing. And then that shit started dying. I was like, are you? She's like, I watered him. I was like, no, you know how much sun we get back there? Like, not enough. I was like, I'm okay. I'm back on. Taking that back.
I feel like every time I get a new plant, I'm like, okay, this plant, I know what it needs. I put it in the perfect area.
Check.
I water it the exact amount of times I'm supposed to be watering
Rising dread.
Check.
Rising dread increases. Plant dies. Every time I bring a plant into this house, it dies. And it's not even this house. Any apartment I've ever lived in. I think maybe I just am a living fungus that infects plants.
Oh, no.
And kills them. Because I love plants. I love them.
That's what a plant killer would say.
I'm not trying to kill them. I also buy the you can't kill this. Dead. Challenge accepted.
No.
It is dead. It has died in my house.
You got some succulents?
I want to be.
Get some little cute little.
I've done it. Something happens.
What about
to
a
them.
cactus?
I've tried.
Kill the cactus. Damn, impressive.
I've killed cacti
honestly.
before.
Don't even need water.
I might have watered. I think I veer on the underside of watering.
You
I
drowned
try,
the cactus.
I try not to water at all unless it I stick my finger in and it's soil's dry. A plant person told me that. I want to be a plant girl so fucking bad.
Oh my God.
And I'm incapable of being plant girl. I'm not her.
You gotta get one of those apps. Have you seen these? The ones that have the garden, it'll let you put a timer on for different plants, and it'll tell you what the timer should be for different plants.
Oh,
so you can
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the photo. There's a photo app where you can scan your plant and it'll tell you.
I have those for the ones in the house where it's like, hey, I forget. I'm not gonna write down the plant that we got that go in the front. Just take the picture and then I've banked it and then buy it the next year at Home Depot.
Yeah, it does both those things. You can figure out what it is by taking a photo, and then it'll let you set an alarm to remind you when to water it based on what type of plant it is. Yeah,
and it'll tell you what's wrong with it, right? The one I was.
This one I think just identifies. I don't know about pests.
Natalie's got an app. It's non-plant girl detective. Remove this plant from the vicinity immediately. Fungus among us.
Fungus among. I am the fungus among us. I don't know.
That was an Incubus album, right?
Fungus. I think so. Mm-hmm. But at least I can live my plant girl dreams as a witchy plant girl in Strange Horticulture, which is
maybe
out
you need a little more occult
Steam.
in your real life. I think is maybe what.
Right, you gotta get them spells working on your plants. Mm-hmm. Gotta get that.
I just need add some
energy.
crystals around my plants.
Yes,
read your plants' tarot cards.
Yeah, exactly.
See how they're vibing. All right, we're gonna skip. We're not gonna talk about my daughter. We were gonna talk about my daughter and how they play video games, but we're already running long.
Whoops.
I'm sure I'll have new stories in that saga. The short version is just I have, in some ways, passively resisted. I think my children should find their hobbies on their own, and the fact that I like video games a lot doesn't mean my kids should give a shit about them. But I've also, in some ways, actively avoided introducing them because I spend all my day thinking about them and engaging with them. The couple hours I get with my kids, I don't really want to be playing video games. But I've always maintained the same way that I didn't want my daughter to be defined by pink, and then you know what she did? She was defined by pink, but by choice. I seem to be trending in that direction with. Video games. So we'll revisit that another time and I can talk through my experiences trying to find games that work for a 5-year-old. But let's jump into a couple of questions from the question bucket. You can send your questions and see, I got to add this part to the description in the Trello card.
Trello
so I would, because I can ad-lib this, but Rob would be Rob really likes having the doc in front of him, and that's fine. I'm not making fun of him. People like having he's a preparer, and so
he is.
if I'm gonna sell Rob on like converting this, he's still gonna use the doc. It's just like it'll just be Rob's Vice Gaming's new podcast doc that has survived for nearly 6 years. You can send questions into gaming@vice.com. Let's see. I've got one in here. This one's from Jacob. The masses need to know, who is your favorite X-Men character? Which X-Man would you most like to make you dinner? Which X-Man would you absolutely not let make you dinner for you? Thank you for your time. And then we got a follow-up email. I don't know what the time passage was between these two emails, but it was in. Jacob wrote in again before we addressed it. I literally cannot parse that last sentence. Not let make you dinner. I have no idea. English is garbage.
English is garbage.
Agreed.
100%.
And so I don't know if I have an answer to this person's question, to Jacob's question, but the idea that you like wrote in, tried really hard, clearly English not first language, and then just the conclusion was English is garbage. Don't worry, English first language people right here. You know what?
English is garbage.
It's garbage.
100%.
It sucks.
Awful,
you know what? The
awful.
fastest way to learn that is teaching it to a child and then explaining, like, why do these letters look so similar to another? Who came up with this shit? Great question, Jessica. I don't know. I don't know how to explain this to you. It's just memorization. I'm sorry. I guess, which X-Man would you absolutely not let make dinner for you? I want to make sure I use their sentence. Who?
Yeah. I'm looking at a quick list of all the X-Men
Who
ever.
do I want to not make me dinner?
I feel like first instinct, Iceman, because he would make it cold.
But he could make a good like
having
gazpacho.
salad.
I was good. I knew you were gonna say that. I
I don't fuck with gazpacho.
I don't like gazpacho either.
that's
It doesn't.
good.
I'm not. It's not a vibe.
Shouldn't be soup. Should be hot. Thanks.
It is
Spoken
not
like a
the
person who
vibe.
did not live in Florida.
If it's cold, it's a shake. It's like a shake. It's a smoothie.
It's a savory smoothie. That's basically what it is.
I think.
You
I don't know
let
many of the X.
I was gonna say, don't let Wolverine's claws trick you. He may be good for prep, but that motherfucker doesn't know what the fuck he's doing in the kitchen. It's gonna make you some slop, and it's gonna be bad.
Well, also from a hygiene standpoint, like those claws are going back into the skin, right?
Yeah, they're going into the blood. I don't know about. I mean, you could stick them out and clean them, and then don't retract them while he's cutting up stuff. He will help someone maybe, and that will be useful. But I feel like he's too himbo's not the right word, but he's dumb.
He's got himbo energy.
Yeah.
I was just looking through X-Men characters. Maggot.
Yeah, same.
Okay, there you go.
His digestive system took the form of 2 slugs, which could eat through practically any substance. After feeding, the slugs re-entered Maggot's abdomen and passed nourishment into him, giving him incredible power.
I hate
this
No.
is Maggot. I'm thinking keeping Maggot out of the kitchen. I will give Maggot the leftovers, right? I feel like the slugs,
Right.
take what you want after the meal has
That's how you
occurred.
make compost.
But exactly.
That's just environmentally.
Our Dr. Xavier has a farm to maggot system that he has implemented here at the Academy.
I gotta say, I don't. Maybe Petra. Petra can. I'm looking at like all X-Men members ever.
Okay, the 1970s recruits.
Yeah, Petra can manipulate Earth. I don't know. Maybe that's helpful in the kitchen. In terms of just vibes, I feel like I would have a nice dinner with
Emma
don't know.
Frost.
Gambit. I don't know if Gambit's good in the kitchen, but I bet he could take us to a hole in the wall with like delicious food.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to tell with him because he talks himself up a lot, right? He's very boastful, so it's hard to tell whether or not he can follow through. But if he does follow through, Cajun food's fucking delicious. Like,
yeah,
that'd be fucking great.
He's like the one that I most closely associate with food, just because of where he's from and his affect.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Hey all, this comes from Sven. Currently watching Rob talk about buying a telescope on stream right now. Yep. And find myself wondering, what hobby purchasing rabbit holes have you gone down that you may not have shared on the pod already? As an example, throughout the never-ending pandemic, I've been deep into custom water cooling, then sneakers. I assume the water cooling is for his PC or their PC. Then coffee, then tea, and now Lego. Please send help. Thanks for all the great content. And Cado drags Waypoint through a Destiny raid when?
God.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with that new expansion's happening, right? In the next couple weeks.
Happen.
Yeah.
God, I've had so many.
Is there one that you regret? One that like went nowhere? Like sometimes a rabbit hole doesn't come out with like a properly made bread on the other side. Sometimes you went down the rabbit hole and you just stare into the abyss.
I regret the sourdough phase. I do regret that. That was very early. It did not go well. I did get into sneakers for a little bit also. I'm still into them. I'm just not buying as many as I was before. Then I got really into like buying instant noodles.
Like
so
varieties? Like you just want like dozens of options, different flavors?
Yeah, just like tons of instant noodles. With all types of flavors and stuff, and I was just trying like all these like different Japanese and Korean instant noodles that I was buying online, and I was just
that sounds fun.
It was
that
great.
Seems
that relative to the expense of the sneaker hobby. I feel like the instant noodle hobby is you can buy more.
Very affordable, very affordable, and was very delicious. I only had a few that I didn't like. I recently just bought some knitting and crochet supplies.
There we go.
Oh no.
There we go.
Oh, that's the shit I'm talking about.
I don't know why I did it. I was just like, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't watch TV very often, but I've been watching more TV because I don't have the energy to play games right now. But the thing is, when you go to TV, I go to phone. Like I sit on my couch and I'm watching TV, and then I end up pulling out my phone and I'm watching my phone while the TV. It's like terrible. So I was like, okay, I need something to do with my hands that will occupy my hands that's not being on my phone, so I can watch TV undistracted.
You need a
so I was like,
fidget
I'll
cube.
knit. I have a fidget cube. It's right here.
Just take that with you instead of phone.
But what if your fidget cube could result in something you could wear?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's the thing is like I like the concept that whatever the distraction I'm engaged. That's why I got really into keyboards, because I was like, keyboards. I have a final product to show for the end, or Legos. Like I did buy a lot of Legos over the break, the pandemic, the break from reality. Yeah. But knitting is the latest one, because I was like, if I'm gonna do something, if I'm gonna start a hobby, it should be something that has an end product. That was my decision. It hasn't arrived yet. I'll let you know how it goes. I am sure. The thing that I fucked up is I bought knitting supplies, and then I was like, oh well, I need a bag to keep all my knitting supplies in. So I was like, oh, I'll buy
It's really good when you've evolved to the thing to put them in before you've figured out if you like the hobby.
Oh, that's exactly how my brain works. I'm like, how is this gonna fit into my life?
You and Rob are very similar.
We are. It's scary sometimes. It's scary sometimes. But I decided, oh, well, maybe I should try out crochet too and see which one I like more. So I decided I would buy a crochet kit for a bag. Mm-hmm. So I'd crochet the bag that I will end up putting my knitting supplies in.
Yes. You know, if it all works out, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fucking hobbies all the way down. Just bags inside of bags.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Cado, have you got any rabbit hole regrets?
No, the thing is that I just have the same ones from before the pandemic, honestly, right? Like they haven't really changed. It's games. It's I don't think there's been an uptick, but like, you know, my actual one is tabletop RPG rule sets. The amount of tabletop RPG books that I have over there that I've never played but have read on my shelf is, too much. I imagine someday I will actually pull them out and convince someone to play them with me, but
the eternal flame of all tabletop or game board people is like,
someday I'll find the right,
and then I'm gonna throw that party. People are gonna come over and fucking love it.
The issue also is like the like, it was already rare enough to get an amount of people that want to do it. Now it's just like people can't come over anymore. Anyways, like everyone's isolated. There's even less chances, and like you can play a lot of those online, but that's different. Especially, I have a small
cool
group that I like semi-regularly play D&D with, but they're all in like they're all also, everyone works on computers, and two of them are teachers that teach through Zoom, and they're like, I don't want to be on a Zoom call to play D&D. So like we have just skipped like months of playing during the pandemic when they were teaching through Zoom. So it's been rough out there for the RPG life right now for me.
I unfortunately I barely have time for the not rabbit holes, the holes that are exist in my life. But so I don't have any like ones that went badly, but definitely one of the things over like the start of COVID, I started getting into, I'm really anti-physical like objects, like collection sort of thing. Like I just get rid of that shit or donate it. And like have things in the house, but it's like very minimal in terms of like feeling like I need to keep like boxes of SNES cartridges or whatever from my history, but like the shared interest.
Natalie turned her camera up to the shelves. I get
Rob would
collectibles
be furious.
And
yes, people and
amazing. Amazing.
But the shared interest that that my wife and I have is horror movies, and like we have one of the shelves to like the right of the TV upstairs, kind of the family TV. I had a handful of like movies we had acquired, and I like took a passive interest every once in a while in like, I guess it'd be cool to have like a big horror collection that was just up there, and that people could come over and look at, and that would like really, like when I collect things, I like really want to like say something about like me or the family or whatever, and so then over the last 2 years, I've gone. That's the hole I've gone down is like whenever I go basically rabid whenever there's like the Target buy two get one free like Blu-ray sale, and then I will take Target's list and I will organize by cheapest, and then like because so many horror movies are extremely cheap, especially like kind of the weird shit that I'm buying that isn't like Hereditary, like the A24, like Primo stuff. I was like, no, give me the Nest on Blu-ray. And I would like Child's Play 1, 2, and 3. I just recently swapped out my Jaws 2, 3, and 4 DVDs for Blu-rays of Jaws 2, 3, and 4. So I've been, it's a combination of like converting my DVDs to Blu-rays, occasionally buying like a UHD, like a 4K, but I'm like, those are so expensive. It's like, there's like $35-$40 frequently for one of those. So like I think I have Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. I have like a couple of movies that are like top tier. Like I would want that to be in 4K. That said,
some of those movies they don't like always transfer to 4K.
Especially the ones that are on the ones that are on film transfer really well. I feel less strongly about that for modern films, especially if they're full of a lot of CG. But most of the stuff I'm filling in that list are movies from like 70s, 80s, early 90s. And so, I've got like 100, like 125. Now, it doesn't feel that way. I was like, I got the list, that collection is not that big. And then I was like, oh, but Blu-rays are really skinny. And like I went and counted all of them. I was like, oh, all right, I've actually done pretty well. And so my hope is to keep expanding that out. And it's always funny because after one of those sales, like 6 boxes will show up. And it's like, why are there 6 boxes from Target? I was like, those are all really good horror films that we definitely need to have up on the shelf to the right of the TV. So
do you have a tracker of what you have and what you've watched in your own collection?
No, and I've made mistakes. I do have a good friend who is also a big horror nerd, and so the couple of times where I've double bought thinking, oh, I need Pumpkin. I think the most recent was Pumpkinhead, which was if you haven't Pumpkinhead was directed by Stan Winston, the like special effects guy. Starred Lance Henriksen. It's not very good, but it has a really cool creature in it. And multiple times, like, I don't think I bought that on Blu-ray. And then I would order it, it would ship, and I'd be like, I wonder if I have Pumpkinhead on Blu-ray. And I'm like, yeah, I do. All right, well, at least that was only a $4.99 hit. So that's not that bad. And so I just give that to a friend. But that's been my
that's a good one. That's wholesome.
My COVID one.
Yeah.
So that's gonna do it for the podcast. You can follow more of Waypoint on Twitter at Waypoint, Facebook and YouTube at Waypoint Vice. You can support all the stuff that we do over at Waypoint Plus. This week we had published a podcast with Jeff Green of GFW Radio, Computer Gaming World. Back then, Ziff Davis had a bunch of magazines and websites and was a constant presence on OneUp.com. He is a super cool dude that made the right choice and got out of that rat race and started consulting on games and probably making much better money. He joins Rob and Dia and Alex to continue Manhunting, talking about Crime Story, the Michael Mann TV show, one of several that Mann was involved with. And then I guess didn't we decide on what the next Waypoint Plus? I think we're gonna try and do an After Dark sometime in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So we haven't done one of those since we did kind of a post-mortem on 5 years of Waypoint with Austin. And so stay tuned for that. Hopefully, we haven't recorded it yet, but that is the next plan for the Waypoint Plus feed. Let's see, what do we come up next on streams? Well, when you listen to this, we'll have done the first Kingsfield 4, the Forgotten City, the Ancient City. Cado is going to join
City?
for that.
I don't know. Yeah. Wait.
Sure. Well, I forgot if it's an ancient city or not. Next week, we'll probably do a second stream of that. There's going to be some High Fleet, right? Sounds like you and Rob are going to just do 2 of those, and then what if these gremlins keep cracking codes in the sky?
Yeah. Oh, it's been fun. Well, we thought it was only going to be 2 because the first stream ended up in a really bad situation that we've somehow managed to claw our way out of. So now we're like, let's see how far this train goes, I guess. Like, we were sure. I was like positive that second stream that we were gonna eat shit, but somehow we're just like limping along, and it's really fun. Didn't think that game was as complicated as it ends up being, and it's actually really, really neat.
And then we'll probably, I think we're also gonna have another episode of _coffee_appears.
Oh my god, yeah. The new YouTube video just hit. Did you see this? Look at this shit. I just got this. Look at the thumbnail that they made for it.
Look at the graphics team.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
Yeah. Shout outs to Zach over at the video team for making the thumbnails.
Taking the title that Cado sent over at face value, which is this stream must be about Rob's phone and not about a telescope. That's great. So I think we're gonna be doing that. Who knows what hijinks we'll get up to on the internet, but I think in the corner, I think the embargo will be up for Dying Light 2, and so Rob will probably be playing some of that. I really enjoy. I'm committed to the bit of the embargo's up for this brand new, really exciting video game, and we're gonna make it a small window in the corner while we look up an actor's IMDb page.
Yeah.
That's good shit. That's good content.
Yeah. Hey, that's what Waypoint's all about, baby. So that is it for us. You can follow me at Patrick Klubbeck. Cado, where can people follow you?
At _Cado I almost said coffee _appears.
Might have to change it. Natalie.
At Natalie Watson.
Our theme music is by Bo N. The track is Miss You off the EP Pale Machine. Learn more at waypoint.zone/Bo N. That's us calling it for Friday. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Till next week, fuck capitalism. Go home.
Great.
Very cool.
I can stop.
Fun pod.
You
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Save.
Accomplishing things. Look, I got the confirmation order from Costco.
Nice.
Woo!
Hell yes.
What is it? Waypoint.gay?
Yeah. 457.
Okay.
Should be right.
That is so useful. Waypoint Radio.
Shout outs. Barry and Bussy.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
You know, part of the benefit from buying this from Costco is they're just like, we don't, this little receipt says like, I don't know what the warranty is for this computer, but just if anything breaks, you've got 2 years. And I was like, that's pretty good, actually.
That's pretty good for a computer.
Which is why when I was younger, when digital cameras started, when my family would go there, that's where I bought my first digital camera, because Costco used to have this incredible policy so Costco's policy in general is, if you buy it here and it breaks, we don't care if it happens a year from now or 5 years from now, like, bring it back and you can come get the equivalent of whatever that thing was. You know, and if we don't have it, you'll get the price that you paid and you can apply it to something new. And basically it's like, they can guarantee, the idea was, it makes sense, like, guarantee that for a bunch of, like, even they did, you know, even for TVs. Because, like, you're going to get in the door and you're going to buy other shit.
Right.
How often are you going to be, like, returning a TV? So it was like this loss leader that sounded really good on paper, and I'm sure the math worked itself out where they actually weren't doing that often. But for the digital cameras, like, every 6 months, I would just bring it in and said it was broke. I was like, I don't know, it doesn't work. And they don't check. It's not like the front desk people are technicians. And so they'd like, okay. They'd count out, they'd make sure you had all the pieces, put it in, and like, here's the credit, like, go buy it. So like, every 6 months, it's like, I'm going to go spend $400 on, it was $400 that I was just spending on brand new cameras every 6 months as new models would come out. And
And yeah, the
years,
thing with Costco is they get rid of stock. Like, they don't keep old stock. So you can always...
they never had I would wait till the inventory had turned over, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get the new Sony, you know, Cybershot or whatever it is. And then... that's why I also bought my TV there. My thinking being, well, I'll just keep this TV. This TV will break in 6-7 years, and I'll apply that $500 towards something new. Well, at some point, with the rise of the internet, people caught on to that, and they turned what was a loss leader that was just like a cool thing that Costco bragged about into just a fraud machine. And Costco eventually was like, we are no longer applying this infinite lifetime policy to electronics because you fuckers keep coming in and exploiting it. I was like, that's fair. That's probably... I'm not shocked that the internet ruined that good thing.
Yeah, it's only right.
Of course, a good thing that I was mad about, because I wanted my light fraud to continue. Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's just light.
My fraud is okay. It's also not
just
fraud. It's a big company. They don't care.
And it's the policy. Am I lying about the thing being broken? I mean, I dropped it at one point, probably. Who could say what's broken? What is that?
Well,
damn, I can't put this at the end of the podcast anymore, because Costco's cops are gonna come for you.
I am well out of the statute of limitations. You put that shit in there. Come at me, Costco, 14-year-old Patrick. I just paid $2,000 for a PC from Costco. I've paid back my dues. Like, I'm out of Costco jail.
Yeah.
Oh.
You've earned some Costco clout for sure.
Yes.